Hello friends, welcome back to my channel, A Little Geek, A Little Chic. Today, we're going to talk about the books that I read in the month of August and before that, because I haven't done a reading wrap-up in a while. No surprise here that there's books on here that I think there are not enough. I only have like 4 books with me, you guys, or 4 books kind of with me and a picture of it because I lent it out already to a friend. But I'm going to talk about those briefly and let you know what I've read in the recent months, and then let you know how I'm getting back on track and what I'm reading for September. I will do that in the next video because I need to get over this little slump here that I'm dealing with, and I think this is the perfect time to do it because it's fall. So grab yourself your beverage of choice and let's talk books. Let's get into what I've read recently. I have 4 books with me, technically 4 books and 1 image, so 5 books that I've read. I believe I've read more, but I honestly can't remember them all. I'm like 99% sure I have read more recently, but I can't remember them all. So, we will start off with this, which is just a dust jacket, because I lent it to a friend of mine. It's Cobble Hill by Cecily Zazier, I think. Zazier? Von Zazier? I can't pronounce it. I'm sorry if this is your name and I butchered it, but I liked your book. I thought this book was great. It gave me all the vibes I wanted. I love some rich people drama going on and people going about their lives, especially if it's set in Manhattan. That just gets me right away. I think there was one that I read before, I can't remember what book it was, but it was also set in an apartment building and Fifth Avenue or something, like Fifth Avenue, maybe something like that. It was a long time ago, but it was set in an apartment building, all these families, rich people drama, lives interchanged, but also individual on the multiple floors and different condos, and it was fantastic and I loved it. And so I was so excited to pick this up, especially since it's rich people drama, people in New York coexisting. They have their own problems, but then they have intertwined problems as the book continues on, and it was fantastic. I expected nothing short of fantastic, and the drama-filled book that I wanted from this author, as I think she wrote Gossip Girl. So rich people drama and gossipy stuff, say no more. I'm in. It wasn't the best book I've ever read. There was some characters I didn't love, and I'm not going to fault it for me not being completely engrossed in it and picking it up all the time, because to be honest, I have been in the craziest reading slump this year, and I think that I can't really fault any book for that because I think it's mostly me. So I'm going to just give this book a 3.5. I liked it. It's not one of my top all favorite books of all time, but I liked it enough that I recommended it to a friend who I know will like it, so that definitely puts it at 3-star status or higher, and I did enjoy it more than my standard 3-star books, so I'd say a 3.5 on the scale of enjoyment. Next book I read, this might have been in a video before, I'm not sure, but Tom Segura, I'd Like to Play Alone, Please. This guy is hilarious. So if you're not familiar, he's a stand-up comedian. Him and his wife have a podcast called Your Mama's House. And he has a podcast with his best friend, who is also a stand-up comedian, Bert Kreischer. And it's called Two Bears, One Cave. And I think they're hilarious. Comedy is completely objective. So if you don't like the same kind of comedy as me, I'm not going to apologize for what I like. You don't have to apologize for what you like. But just note that maybe this is not for everybody. I loved it. I ate it up. Read it in no time. I just really like hearing about people, especially celebrities, and their life and how they got to where they are and what they did. I did not know, and this isn't really a spoiler because you can find it out anywhere, that he was an intern on America's Most Wanted. And I used to love that show, you guys. I used to watch that with my mom every week. It was like, okay, Friday night, Thursday night, I can't remember which night it was, America's Most Wanted. And then Nightmares, because I was like 10, 11, maybe 12. So that's really cool. And a lot of his celebrity meetups and things in here that he discusses are really great. And just his life in general. So I highly recommend this. Like I said, I don't like rating biographies and autobiographies on a rating scale because it's someone's life. So you can't really give a rating to someone's life. But just based on the writing style of this book alone, it's a stand-up book. And I had no problems reading it and finishing it. This is one of the ones that actually I read fairly quickly and it did not hinder me. The slump didn't affect it. So that is props for this book alone. Next I read, and this was well before this last month, but it's One of Us is Lying by Karen M. McInnes. And this is a YA thrillery murder mystery kind of novel where it's like a bunch of kids in detention. One of them dies. Who done it? Someone's linked in the school. And then so you see this main character who feeds this gossip column, like anonymous gossip column at the school, and all these people have secrets that they don't want out, and this person now is ready to release these secrets about said people, and then they all end up in detention together by some random occurrence that all the characters think is strange, and then one of them is dead. The gossip column guy, no surprise, it's in the first like couple pages. And then who had the motive to do the job. So this book is written really well. I don't tend to love YA mystery thriller type of books because they just don't spark with a trueness, because they do make them lighthearted, because they like a little more so than a standard Riley Sager or a Grady Hendrix, if you're talking like horror style novels, because it's meant for young adults, teens, young adults, and it has to be approachable to them. So sometimes the things that are approachable to me as an adult are not as approachable to youth. So it does read younger, but I had no problem sticking with this one either. It was really good and really well done. I know she's got a sequel to this, and I think there's a third one to this as well, or set in the same world scape as this one is. This one, I would say my top all-time favorite YA mystery thriller was A Good Girl's Guide to Murder. If you haven't read A Good Girl's Guide to Murder, it is fantastic. It's done so well. I ate that book up, and every other mystery thriller from the YA genre that I put against that book is compared to that book, because it is such a top tier book for me. I read it. I loved it. I would read it again. It was so good. Even though I know what happened, it's just the storytelling was fantastic. And that was like a 5-tier, one of my favorite, or 5-star, one of my favorite books of the year I read it. And this one isn't quite at that mark, but I did enjoy it. So for a YA mystery thriller, I would give this one a solid 4 stars. It's not a 5-star read, unfortunately, but it was really good. So if you're looking for a little bit of a mystery thriller, or just getting into mystery thrillers, start with some YA ones. This one and The Good Girl's Guide to Murder, because it's so good. I think it's Holly Jackson. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments below, but I think that's who wrote that one. Maybe? I can't remember. Yeah. And the last book on my list that I read was actually last month, and it was a tome. It was a behemoth of a book, but I always wanted to read it, and I'm gonna just check how many pages it was. And am I sad that I read it? No. Would I read it again just for the sheer length? No, but I really was enthralled, and I really, really liked it. It's just at the 700 page mark, and it's not big writing, and the pages feel so tiny. This book feels so heavy, you guys. And this book had me from the first page, because I think this person is a fantastic human being, fantastic person, articulate, eloquent, phenomenal. I have always had a fondness for, and continue to have a fondness for, the ex-president of the United States, Mr. Barack Obama. Promised Land is basically his book discussing his entire first term. Doesn't really talk about anything that happened at the second and into his retirement recently. And it's already 700 pages. So it kind of goes up to the Bin Laden operation that he was part of and getting the justice in that situation. It is fantastic to see all this other stuff he worked on that I honestly didn't know about. So I'm not American, so I'm not as frequented in American politics as I'd like to be. I am when there's elections. You guys, I love politics. Politics are my thing. But I don't know about all the little bills he passed and stuff that was just fantastic. I knew about the big item shake-up newsmakers that were everybody in Canada and US, everybody knows about them. But this book was great. I, again, don't like reading memoirs and autobiographies, biographies, but solid read if you are intrigued by Mr. Obama and what he did his first year in office and how it affected his family and where he came from, where he got to. Great. Do I think let's do the spousal comparison, is I have read Michelle Obama's book as well, and I will have to say that I liked hers better, but not because of what's there in the story, just how approachable she is and how you can really relate to be like, yeah, that would be crazy to have everything uprooted and then you can't do anything you used to do and you have to find your own way. And she just was so good at delivering what it was like to be lost and yet still not lost at the same time. Like mentally she was searching for something that would give her meaning when she's now gone from being a top level lawyer working in the health field and all this stuff to being the wife of the president. And that's all she does because that's what people see it as. And she wanted more. And it was great to see how she found herself in a society, in a world that she is now in where she's muted. And it was fantastic. And he touches on that in here too. And honestly, her writing style is fantastic. And I really enjoyed her book. Still enjoyed Barack Obama's book, but I kind of liked hers more. Again, can't really give these guys a rating. It is completely subjective to how you feel politically also about the individual. I liked it. That's what I will say. Yeah. And the last book that's not here. We have The Setup by Lizzie Dent. Is it The Setup? Yes, The Setup by Lizzie Dent. Oh my gosh. There's going to be a picture of it here because clearly I don't know what it was. But yes, I had a brain moment. I have not had enough coffee, so that will be solved right away quick. But The Setup is based in Europe. It's based in like England, I believe. And it's a lady named Mara who goes on a trip. Her friend cancels on her last minute, so she decides to go on this weekend excursion by herself. And she comes back and she's determined to change her life to meet the requirements of this fortune teller that she meets. This is not a spoiler. It's the first chapter. Who tells her that she's going to meet the love of her life imminently, and he's tall, dark, and handsome, and this is where she will meet him, and how this is going to go down is going to be right away, but there's something she has to fix first. And so she's like, okay, but then something happens to the fortune teller, she has to leave abruptly, asks Mara randomly to lock up her store, and in walks this tall, dark, and handsome man. So instantly our character's like, this is him, this is it. Done. So she kind of does her own setup of how he's going to meet her and where, and makes it happen. And then the whole rest of the story is her working herself out to fix what she thinks are the issues that she needs to fix before meeting this gentleman. So it's great. It's grand. There's another love interest that comes into the picture, and it's just like, it's wholesome. It's fun. It was just a nice read. I thoroughly enjoyed it. Was it my favorite book of the year? No. Was it my favorite book of the last couple of months? No. Usually, you guys, I fly through these books again, so I'm not going to hold this against this book because I think it's just my reading slump. But still, based on the character stuff, it was a solid 3-star book. It wasn't anything fantastic. It wasn't anything amazing. Would I still recommend it to a friend? Yes. And that's where it is right now with my friend, because it's just one of those light, fluffy, airy books to read, which is good between thrillers and stuff, which is what's going to happen probably in September and October. Maybe. But that is it for now. Let me know what you are reading for the month of September. And I also want to know what you've read recently this summer. Is there anything good coming up and new releases you guys are looking forward to too that maybe aren't on my radar? Give me all the book news. I haven't been around in the book scene for a little while, so comment down below. And if you've made it this far, please give me the pumpkin emoji, pumpkin emoji, and let's all enjoy our spiced lattes and fall. As always, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to hit that subscribe icon and the bell icon to be notified when I post new videos. See you soon with another video.